I'm Andy Wallace, the president of zInspector. You know Athena here, head of customer success. She kind of manages really our sales and support teams as well. Kind of think of those the same.
Yeah.
We also got Joel Vasquez. He's our head of engineering. He's got multiple teams under him: the mobile, the web, the back end, the integration. So they're all different teams. So he's here as well. And we've got Carol. She is a kind of almost, I think, a month in now, kind of a long-term person from Second Nature and things like this. She knows this industry really well. She's our director of growth marketing. So really nice to have her here as well. Okay. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get started here, and we appreciate kind of a good group of people showing up. And we're having our 10-year anniversary here this year. We had our first kind of paying customers, and in it was December 2014, and basically I think we had 9 customers that month, and it was kind of very exciting, those 9. And I think of the 9 we still have 7 of them. 2 retired and kind of or sold their businesses off, but outside of that we still have all those customers, so it's really nice to see all of you for this long. But have you been here this long time? zInspector mindset is we are always reinventing ourselves. I mean, so we're always making changes, and this is kind of a big part of it. All right, so let's kind of keep going on in here. And um, so when we started, we were just a photo manager. I kind of ran a property management company, and I had uh, people doing cell phones were kind of getting going. People were using like memory cards on phones, and it was just or on different cameras, and it was just a mess. It was really a huge problem. So I said, well, let's just make a photo tool. Okay, that was basically how we started. We didn't have forms, templates. You literally filled out your inspection reports, by paper and so forth. And now things kind of have really just kind of kept going from here. And and then Athena, Laura's posting some message there about the number of people who can attend. So if you can see if you can bump that, okay. Um, so so we started here really as a photo manager, and we from there. Even that those core features that we had back then is we wanted to be able to take pictures without internet. Okay, that was its kind of maybe obvious one. And we wanted native camera support, right? Where we really support the high resolution camera, the wide angle lens on the newest iPhone to get all 3 walls of a room, all that. And we wanted everything kind of organized as you are taking them. And we wanted the company to really kind of set the real kind of core categories. Okay. So that's kind of really where we came about. And I think those kind of core features, that was really our original mission. I really think we are still the only ones to really do that today. And I think it shows that we've had over 500 million photos now, and everything is still up there, accessible, searchable, and you have access to this information. Okay. Now, and then, but this was like our original kind of app, and it wasn't, and it wasn't. This is actually the second gen, the one, the kind of middle view, the middle app view. We had like a little condition table. We didn't even have that. We just had the mobile app on the right. We had this little kind of photo organizer there, and looks really old now, but that is how we started. And we've actually the website, we're actually on the 4th version of the website. Okay, so things have kind of kept evolving, here from there. But that is where we started. And now, and this was kind of our features in our first year. And really, I'm bringing this up because if you're new, these are the features we still have to tell people today that we do, right? So like custom templates, reports that you end up can print, as well as that can auto route throughout your company, as well as go into your accounting software. We have iOS, Android apps. No, don't need internet. You can, of course, sign reports. All these great searchable tools. We support video. And then get rid of, if you're using spreadsheets to manage everything, then that's what we want to kind of replace. All right. So those are the kind of the core features we had in the first kind of couple years. But then from there, things have just kind of kept evolving. And so, but I think we did get kind of, this was our cool little mascot. We wanted to like get rid of paper and, you know, and go from there and kind of get everything organized. Um, I still like her. I think it's the property manager trying to make her happy. But kind of marketing kind of overruled that. And so you've probably seen it lately, but we now have a full new mascot. Okay. And that is our Z Assistant. And if you have not tried Z Assistant, you definitely want to give it a shot. We made a big round of improvements just 2 weeks ago on that. And so now it's more real time than ever. So now you are simply walking and talking. The inspection report is all generated automatically. If someone says a accidental cuss word or this or that, all those things go away. Someone can speak in Spanish, get a report in English. So, but you really, the update we did about a couple weeks ago, it really improved the real time feedback. So you can kind of use it as a checklist, like as you're talking. And probably more important is you get great quality pictures. It's not just video screenshots. So you're really getting a lot better pictures. So hit the little magic wand when you're doing inspections and try that out. Okay, that's kind of Z Assistant. And that's kind of one of our probably most significant of our latest tools. But from there, like while we started here, as this photo tool, we have added kind of all kinds of other features like forms, tenant inspections, video and 360 tours, virtual tours, Z data, like how to scan barcodes, a refrigerator, and now Z Assistant. And so when we started as a photo manager, the issue was that it was great. It was a right core platform. We could easily add features, but we really didn't have a good way, kind of a top-down view of kind of seeing kind of everything that's going on. And so we kind of had to step back and say, okay, we got all these different features. Let's try to give them to you in a more kind of complete way. Okay. Now, and that really says our new dashboard, and we're trying to put everything for your property inspection and field tools all in one spot. Okay, that's basically kind of our mission, and there's many different aspects of it. So let's kind of just start diving right into it. Okay, so when we developed this feature, we kind of put ourselves some kind of design goal for what we wanted to do, and so one is going to be based on a all new zInspector kind of API. Now, right now that API is just an internal API, but you are going to see us now integrating with other software very much more quickly because it's just, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Um, we have daily time capture of all critical data. I'm really excited about that. We're going to cover what that means in a second here. And then, like as I mentioned, we want everything for a property unit in one spot. Okay. And then at the end of the day, we're still all about kind of flexibility. And so when we're kind of visualizing your data, we want to make it easy for you to change how you want to view it. Okay. It's tables, cards, categories, filters, so different views. And that's our goal here. And then there's always been kind of a disconnect between why we have the mobile app and why we have the website. I mean, the website, it was designed more for admin, so you can kind of manage your company, see past inspections, search for that, manage your team members. But really, it was the mobile app, which is really to be used out in the field without internet, and it'll sync later. And while that is all true, we wanted to kind of connect those two up in a better way. And then as things have evolved, right, it's not just an inspection. Like I'm not just taking an inspection report and filling that out. Okay. So we want to provide the tools around that so you can really manage and control your entire process. Okay. So there is kind of a bunch of email inbox replacement handling. You can make processes. How are you going to handle everything for all your inspections and really manage that exactly how you want to from your company? Right. So now this is just kind of a AI generated graphic of our new API. We've got all kinds of things here. We have a new integration with Property Meld. We got Rent Tech Direct, Rent Manager, Appfolio, Rentvine, Google Sheets integration. But our new API makes it easier and faster than ever. And so this new dashboard website is actually completely using our API. So it's all connecting to that API, and there's all kinds of options built in there. And we're basically visualizing what's kind of through that API. This is kind of all top secret, but hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be having, we plan on having a Buildium integration. Engineering is testing all that, so that's going to be coming through. But now this API is just allowing us to connect to other services kind of faster than ever. All right, so and then this kind of daily time capture. Okay, so we're going to see kind of some different views of this. But what we've started doing is when you kind of go in here, if as of about a year ago, we've been doing a daily time capture of all of your core metrics. So, simplest one, how many properties are on your account, right? And so, there's a big talk about KPIs and things like that, and we always want to do that. But really, how do you track that data over time? If you can visualize it over time, kind of automatically, you're going to get a lot more insight into and basically do no work. Okay, so that's what this company overview page is, and we're going to kind of show an actual example of that. And then this is an example of what we're trying to make these flexible data views. So on the upper right of kind of anything where you're seeing a graph or a table or anything like that, that's where we're putting the different kind of views. So you can switch between tables, cards. There's sometimes line graphs, bar graphs. There's different filters there. So when you're trying to change what a graphic is, it's in the upper right-hand corner of those graphs, okay, is where you're going to see that. And then the general thing is on all these things, you'll see a category, and on the left-hand side, you'll see a little arrow. When you expand it, that's when you're going to kind of expand it. Okay, so we got our kind of top level section. You expand it, you'll see the more data. And then you hit on the right here, you can kind of change up the views of what you're actually looking at. Okay, and so there are different kind of views here. Some examples. We got some bar charts. We're kind of showing those. We've got course tables. You know, if you when you have a lot of data, still tables are still the best thing. And then, but certain things you can like visualize as cards and things like that. And here's an example of our kind of our scheduler, our task manager is what we're calling it. But here and now you can kind of like quickly change between kind of a category view or a card view or a table view, and it's really all the same data kind of all together. Okay. Now, we've also added global search at the top of the screen. You'll be search. You can search on a property. You can search kind of, really on anything, a tenant name or task info. We're going to give you there. We're even going to allow, it's going to search, if you type in something in there, it's going to search our knowledge base for support and pull up support articles and things like that. So that global search bar at the top is going to be very useful to find a lot of key elements. And this kind of gloss over before I forget it. If you are a kind of a larger company, you're starting to use user groups. So we often sync that with like in Rent Manager or Folio, we'll sync property groups to user groups. And so up in here, you can kind of quickly change which user group you're in, and that's going to just automatically change all your stats, your graphs, all that. So you're looking at just the right data that you want to see. All right, now, and as I mentioned, in addition to like, it's not just about having a PDF form. We need everything around it so we can manage your whole team. And so it's really a whole management system, and that's email handling. How to do responses? How do you kind of assign to different people? So, like for example, we have one email inbox that's basically support at our system, but it always will get routed to the right person. Different people can assign to the ticket. We can hand them off to different people. So we're doing all that within our zInspector Task Manager. And now we're trying to give you all those tools so you can do that just when you're kind of managing your entire kind of inspection process. All right, so I'm going to just start kind of doing a demo and pulling things up here. And kind of Athena, Joelle, Carol, if there's any questions or anything like that, and I'm not seeing them or anything like that, please let me know. And if anyone has questions, please bring them up as we go. Okay, so
We
we're
do
gonna.
have a question from Mike.
Okay.
He's asking about the Buildium API integration and if that will tie into their custom fields in Buildium.
That's going to go out in stages, and so we're going to see how that goes. It probably will not. Originally, or at least originally, we're going to be primarily doing the basics on the first round, and that is getting your property, your address information, the target is your bedrooms and bathrooms, as well as all your tenant contact data. So that's what we're starting with in the AP with the integration, but we'll probably be adding other stuff to that here. All right, so let's kind of go into doing a demo. And so now you start seeing that in the zInspector website, the default view is timeline, right? All your inspection history and photos, there's all this kind of view here. But now when you click dashboard, okay, you're going to kind of see your top level kind of stats, okay? And so I'm just going to look at kind of this first one here under like property. So when I tap that and expand it, so we've been collecting this data here for over a year, and you can kind of see here these properties kind of changing over time, changing your business as it's going up. Similarly, I got where they have a month view. I got like a weekly view. Okay, I can click this. I can download this as an image, download the CSV for the raw data for this table. This is kind of more of a daily view, and I can actually kind of change these visualizations, kind of zoom in part of it. So, like you might have certain, maybe transitional times in your business where there's some seasonality where you really want to zoom in on, and you should be able to do that here. Now I'm going to switch to a different account that has a little bit different kind of data set. And so here, it has fewer properties, but I got under here task, tenants, documents, tours, media. Okay, so now you can kind of dive in here and see like, okay, here is all my inspections. Here's my top inspector. Okay, he was my top person here. He kind of dived down in these months, kind of came back up. Here's, he was kind of taking this many photos on average and things like that. So you can kind of see those things. It kind of gives you some insight into things here. I really like under the media one, you can really look at, say, okay, how many pictures are somebody are taking? Or maybe I want to just dive into my move-in process. Okay, so I can look at my move-in process and I can see what's going on. And this is all just kind of test account, so it may, obviously not going to look like yours, but you kind of get some idea into your business when you're comparing things over time and a lot of different people. Okay, so we're interested to see how you might use this data. And again, every one of these has various export options here as well. Now, if you're using our virtual tour builder, you can get stats on those types of things as well. And so this is kind of just give you this kind of top level stats and this time history of everything that's happening here with your company. All right, now on the dashboard, the top four links here, these are really all kind of new links. Okay, so the overview is my company overview. And then our main one that we're going to be using kind of most time is how we're visualizing properties. And when you do that, what it actually does is it picks up a search tool where you can either pick from properties on your account. If you're brand new, you could create new ones, but most people are going to be like in sync with some other software. Okay, and so that's going to just take you to our accounting integration page where you're going to be in sync, and you can kind of see the list there and verify that. Okay, but here I'm just going to pick kind of this sample property. And now this is the cool thing about this view is that everything for this property is all right here. Okay, so I've got here the kind of the top level information, the address, kind of last time I inspected it, if I've got another task scheduled or anything like that. Here I can see all my tenants associated with this. Again, this will data most times going to sync already over. Um, and then we've got here also, you can now do both your tenant move-in triggered inspections and other, if you want them to inspect other things like an annual or periodic, you could do that here. And we try to make this kind of a little bit more streamlined invitation process here. And so I can click like invite. Again, we have the self-inspection. So if they're going to do their own inspection on their own app, or if you want them to remotely sign yours. Okay, so here I do a self-inspection. I kind of pick what template I want to send them. Okay, we support, remember this feature supports multiple tenants. So if you have multiple tenants, they can actually all inspect at the same time. So it's going to handle all that in here as well. Okay. So that's kind of how you're going to see your tenants. Sometimes you're going to have multiple sets of tenants. In that example, you see multiple cards. So like if you're a type that's like kind of leasing ahead of someone moving out, like you may have a moving out group of tenants and you may have a moving in group of tenants right here. And you're going to see all those there as well. Okay.
And we do
All
have
right. Now under,
question. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Since you're going over the tenants, we do have a question in the chat.
yeah.
The question is, can we now edit online tenant submissions such as tenant renewal inspection reports? So I'm assuming you're referring to editing tenant completed inspections. And also, are the repair sections going to be unlocked for photo movement to other areas if needed? So you wouldn't be able to edit a tenant completed inspection because that's signed by them. It's technically a protected document with their signature. And correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, if that's ever going to change. But
Yeah, yeah, we don't have that, but you could still like uh copy. There is a copy tool. So like let's say the tenants did a move in and you really wanted to change it, you could use the copy tool, copy it, and it would basically create a new version of that document. Then you can have full edits on it, but it wouldn't have their signature. And so the mindset was we really shouldn't be editing documents that the tenant signed. So that's why we've done it that way.
and then also, are the repair sections going to be unlocked for photo movement to other areas if needed? So you could actually do that. You could move pictures to other areas right now. That can be done. You could just click on the picture. You should see a little edit option, not in repair. So you should see an edit option and move the pictures to another area. And let me
And I'm
know.
not seeing these questions in the chat. I'm not sure where that one came from. So I'll just please interrupt me, Athena. Okay.
Okay, and we
Um,
do have another question here
mhm.
from Shane. Will there be a way to sync user logins so I don't have to use credentials to issue credentials to users, like Microsoft Entra ID or Entra ID or any other single sign-on platforms?
At some point, we will be adding some single sign-in type options. But kind of what we've had to date is that often the users in zInspector are very different than the users in kind of their other platforms. We see a why it's not like everyone's using kind of one domain in their company and things like that. So while we're not opposed to doing it, at least for the foreseeable future, it's still going to be users that you're going to have to manage here. Okay. Um, Okay, I see some here that Dusty asks, will the API ever be made public? That is our goal. Our goal is to make it public. But until then, our Google Sheets integration gets you all the core data. Zapier integration gets you all the core reports and things like that. So we are open to doing it, but there's a lot of kind of technical challenges to it. So we're kind of still evaluating exactly how people would use it. But at least until then, you might want to look at the Google Sheet data sync as well as the Zapier integration. Chelsea asked about door loop. It's that's on them. We kind of talked to them and we offered, but they haven't opened up their API to us, so we don't know about door loop. All right, so let's kind of keep going here. So again, I'm in a property view, and so here's everything associated with this property. Okay, I got tasks, tenants, the virtual tours. Okay, and so let's kind of like go in here. So if you're using our virtual tour builder, okay, so now you can kind of control all the core stuff of the virtual tour right from the property page. So I can go in here and I can actually edit the slug of the tour. I can change the title. I can put in anything I want in here, bulleted list, descriptions, this and that, completely change that. If you're new to this, I would just start with our slideshow tour. That's where it's like really easy to just pick from photos, videos, or 360 images. It's really fast, and that's often good enough. You can show Google Maps link or not. Here is the kind of apply now. You can upload it, have any graphic you want, and then it's going to go to your default routing page. But if you wanted to have a custom link for this particular virtual tour, you could add that there as well. And then just by clicking it, you can kind of open that page up and see all that and kind of quickly get to it. And there's kind of my slide show tour example. Okay, so just kind of making that for this property all accessible right here under virtual tours. Okay, we also have areas. So kind of if you're used to zInspector, that's kind of pretty well-known thing. So here's again, so like when we're doing inspections, you're not adding like bedrooms and bathrooms at a template level. They're actually stored at the property. When we sync, we have set up the defaults. So those are all going to come over. Bedrooms and bathrooms are going to come over from the other software. Plus, we're going to add in all the defaults. And then that will going to be set up right here. And then you within a area, so like within a living room, I can see all these items, and then I'm going to attributes about these items. So this is our Z data value. I can sort of paint color or this or that. Okay, so again, you can manage all that here. That's going to sync kind of basically real time to your apps there as well. You could add an area, change the layout. You can change the ordering around and do all here. And this is how you're going to you can modify a property here, or you can do it on the mobile app, and it's all going to sync kind of back and forth. All right, and now owners, I think most people aren't adding owner data kind of manually, but if you are syncing, then with other software, there's most of them we are syncing that data now. So like I believe Rent Manager, Appfolio, I believe Rentbind, and some other ones. And so that will all be there as well. So you have access to owner data. And then this now is some of the really kind of cool features here. So like all your inspections, kind of we're most known for inspections. So I can see now I may have 100 documents for this property over time. So I got a card view, a table view, all that's going to be here. I can see all that. Okay. And then we've got a whole new report viewer here. And so I'm going to hit kind of a view and I can see everything. There are other reports, which kind of better options, which I might show you some of those. But we've added this new kind of gallery button here on the right where you can kind of quickly see everything. There's still on the full scrollable gallery up here where I can kind of quickly go through and everything as well. And then you can kind of hide this or not. Okay, you could share this view externally. This is actually there's an internal share or public share. So internal share will get you to your team members. Public share will let you kind of post this on a website or send it to a tenant or anything like that. We're going to have another webinar coming up in a couple weeks. California has some special rules and it's really applicable to anybody. But if you want to have a inspection and see many different photos from many different types of inspection all at the same time, kind of under settings here, where we're really going to start to do that. There's a bunch of other subtleties on that, kind of really for that compliance. So that's one of the features that we'll be talking about kind of in depth in a couple weeks or so. All right, now, what we're really cool about now is that kind of we talked about the disconnection between the website. Like people, we always had inspections in progress. Okay, so I could see the inspection that's happening, but people were like, "What do I do with it?" I mean, I think we showed an alert. It's on the mobile app, but now what we're actually doing is I can click resume. And if I had my cell phone like on me, I could actually just scan that QR code. I could copy the link, paste it into my phone. I could pick somebody. I could hit send, and that's going to actually send them a deep linking now. So what we're actually doing with deep linking, so if I with this QR code or with the link, then that not only opens the app, it actually opens up that in progress inspection on that device. So it's going to drive kind of right in through selecting the property, opening the template, all those steps. It's going to take you right into the inspection. It's basically the kind of fundamental technology of how tenant inspections work, where they just click a link and it opens right up into that inspection without any extra steps. But that is now, you're going to have that option here with when you're doing things here in zInspector. Now, similarly, you've got here under properties, you've got this, but we wanted to just make starting inspection easier than ever. Okay, and then so if I hit there's always this mobile app link here on the bottom left. I click mobile app, same type of thing. I can pick the property. I happen to be on this property already, so that's why it's shown. I can pick whatever inspection template I want to send. I can pick who I want it to go to. Okay, if I want to have a start time or not. Okay, like so I want them to do on a certain date or something like that. Okay, then I can certainly do that. Okay, and then I can just send it to them. Okay, so try to make that really kind of easy. One little thing that's on here, it's kind of like, and this is still kind of in beta, right? So there are many features in here, and so like it's like one of the like little things we'll be adding, like if there already is a move-in in process, it's going to automatically pull up that move-in in process and have you just send a reminder for that. Okay, so those are little things that are going to be coming over the coming weeks. There's always going to be some improvements, but it's already that deep linking is super cool and very useful. And then we also got now a whole new media view for the property. So all the media for all your inspections are all right here. We've got the kind of the activity category. Okay, you've got all kinds of filter options. Okay, so I can filter on things. I can sort through a range of filters. Okay, and I can kind of do a global kind of search right here on all my media. Okay. All right. Now, see a couple of the questions. So for the someone asked about the building integration, it should be coming soon. So I can't promise a date yet. Engineering has done basically the kind of the first round of technical work. It's going through kind of final testing and verification. So there is always some time to kind of do those things, but we now know that it's coming. It's not really a technology issue where it's more of a kind of final implementation bug test. So it is coming. So hopefully the next month, but certainly 2 to 3 months for sure. So it's coming soon. If you're already using, we have lots of built-in customers. If you're using it manually as a standalone system, just keep entering it manually, putting that data in. And once we get the integration set up, our support team will handle the integration, make sure there's no merging issues. They'll handle all that and making sure there's no duplicate properties and all those things. Okay. All right. So someone's asking here about assigning tasks different from the task page in the zInspector Classic. So it's all the same data, but a big part of dashboard is a complete different visualization of tasks. And so that's a big part. I skipped that for initially. Let's kind of go into some of that now here. So now what we wanted to do is here under kind of tasks, we want to make it kind of very easy. And for those, that want to do this, is really kind of link inspections and tasks kind of more carefully. So if you're trying to schedule things and things like that, then really the tasks are the way to go. Okay. And so now you can add in all kinds of other tasks, maintenance tasks, this task, repair tasks, all kinds of things in there. But really just kind of scheduling your inspections is a big part of it. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here. And so and um and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and create a new task. I'm going to create a task. I'm going to assign it to here. I'm going to pick the type. I'm going to go ahead and pick move out. Okay. And I'm going to pick my process. Okay. Move out and then hit create. Okay. And so, and now this took me right into opening up that task. Right. And so there are many things within tasks. And in a few weeks, we're going to have kind of a deep, another kind of uh, in-depth dive into just tasks. Now, what that did in that one step by picking a move out, it picked from my default process for move out, and it basically generated a simple to-do list. Okay, and that's now there are many other different type task managers. You can get kind of very involved, but at the some level, we tried to come up with something kind of simple, something useful. That's something that's very flexible. Okay. So like in this one, it's got here example. I notified my owner about coming move out. My move out has been scheduled. Okay. Oh, but wait, what is this icon here? I'm preparing for a smooth move out. I could actually send a canned response email to the tenant in that example and document that. Okay. And so you can use this as a checklist and kind of it has some really kind of subtle features. So like when you're assigning these, and then when you're setting up these default processes, then the default here, it could be a manager or assigned. So it's kind of controlled by the task Or when you're setting up those processes, like maybe you have an accountant that's always doing your security deposit return processing. So that person's name might be there as part of the process, but then you have different property managers that are actually doing these different functions. Okay, so that's what it's all designed to do. But what we want to do is still make it so flexible. So, like sometimes you're using other process managers and things, it'll work. It's one, it's really complicated to set up, takes a long time to set it up, and then it becomes very inflexible, right? And so what we still wanted, like, I've got this, but now I've got this. Maybe I need to change it. Maybe so I can just kind of quickly add in something, and I can just say, hey, reminder to call, or I can add a memo, link, add in screenshots. I can do all that. Okay. I can kind of still kind of change the order and dive out. So I can still pull from my default kind of process, right? But I can easily tweak it as we go. Okay. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here with this process manager. There is in a few weeks kind of a full kind of meeting on this. Okay. So we're going to be covering that kind of in great deep and depth here in the coming weeks. Okay. This also supports a full kind of communications platform. Okay. So here I can add a message. Okay, I can, say, you know, hi Athena or whatever that is, and I can do that. It's kind of full, kind of global. Okay, so what I mean by that is full HTML. I can add in things. I can um, insert images, all that. If I've got tenants in the system, I can just kind of one click send them email to all the tenants. If I have owners in the systems, I could quickly email all them, and then all those messages are going to come back. Okay, so this is very powerful. So if you need to kind of schedule, and you can even control it, so it's kind of really coming from your own domain. All right. And now some people are asking kind of different questions and things like this. So some people say, okay, I am using Lead Simple to do my tasks. Okay, and that's fine. You still could set up, maybe you still want to technically set up a basic process in zInspector. These processes could be set by email. Let me kind of go into an example of what that may be. And so if you look in here, this move out inspection has been completed. So when I created this, it actually linked my required documents down to it. You can see here it's required. And as that inspection is completed, it's going to automatically check off this item. So like maybe you're mainly managing processes in Lead Simple. You could actually have that send a dedicated email, trigger technically a move-in process in zInspector, and all that move-in process did was verify here that your actual move out has been completed. So that would be an example of where you can do things like that. So we'll be working kind of more in depth on how to solve those use cases kind of in the coming weeks and months, but that might be something you're going to do if you're kind of managing your task in other systems. All right. So there is a lot here. We've got a bunch of shortcuts on here. You can jump to these different sections up here as well as scroll down below. Okay. Now, so when I'm again here under this property view, I've got my tasks, and these you can see here all the tasks associated for this property. I've got my different views, cards, okay, table, and so forth. Now this is kind of where it gets very powerful, is I can see it at a property view, but I can see basically everything that I'm scheduling here under tasks. So if I've got inspections, if I'm using dates to schedule them, if that's important to you to have the dates, they will all start showing up right here as under dates. Okay, you can look at them by week, month, this and that. Some people use the scheduling dates, some people don't, but you can also now see all of that stuff here by by category. Now I've got all kinds of other categories here. Maybe you just have move in, move out, annual renewal. That's it. That's fine. Okay. And then that's going to be here. And you could see, hey, how many move-ins I have scheduled to this person, how many move outs are scheduled to this person. Okay. And then just by clicking this, that's going to open up the list of all those things for those people. Okay. All right.
I
Now,
have a couple. Oh,
also here, we've got some shortcuts on this kind of task table. There's going to be a bunch more shortcuts coming up here as over time. But for instance, I could just click here and see all my unread things. So what it's technically doing is bringing me all my tasks with certain filters applied. I could change which filters I'm seeing under here. I can go into cards, see all my cards in here. I can see tasks, and you can have all that in there. Okay. So this is kind of a really powerful view of all those tasks. All right, so
we
that's
do
kind of
have
like the
more
core of the task
questions.
manager and kind of the real
Um,
meat of it. Okay.
hey, Andy, can
Uh,
you hear me? We have a couple more
yes,
questions
yeah,
in the chat there.
yes.
Can
So
you
let's
hear
kind of go into something here. So I'm seeing a few questions. Okay. All right. So, someone asked, "Will these emails show up on the tenant page in Appfolio?" No, Appfolio. I know, like we can sync tasks to Appfolio, but there is a special email thing in their service issue, and they do not allow us to write that for the API. So it's not something that we can do. But you're going to have copies of all those emails. Copy of the inspection reports can go into the tenant ledger, for example, like if you invite tenants to do inspections. But the actual email history, that'll either be logged in your own email program with our logging rules or kind of here as well. All right. Um, someone asked, is it mandatory for tenants to sign inspections on their own independent accounts, or is there a way for multiple to sign one report on the same person's account for ease of access? Okay, so how it works is that every tenant should have their own email address. Okay, so that's really how that should work. Now, that said, if you have multiple tenants on a lease, so let's say you have a college, rental house, and there's got four tenants in there. You send that invitation to all four tenants. When they're in doing the inspection, they're gonna be doing one inspection together. So they're gonna see each other's comments. They're gonna see each other's photos. They can tell whether the other tenant has logged in or not, and they're gonna see all that information, kind of all connected. And then if like just one of them signs, the others will get daily reminders until they all sign. When the total time expires, they're all going to get an email with that, and then a copy will upload into your system, most likely, depending on what accounting software you're using. All right, and so does zInspector have any plans to become a full maintenance scheduling platform? So we definitely have companies that are using this for maintenance. And so if you want to, now that said, I would say what might be better is I think where our sweet spot is to use to schedule turnover work, right? And that we have some really powerful tools about that. So like it's really kind of designed for that. So like let's say you have all your cleaning, if you're doing a lot of turns at once, all your cleaning items there, you want to see a view who they're assigned to, move them from one to the other. Or for your standard maintenance work and things like that, you certainly could do it in our system, but a lot of people are doing that in other software. So we're gonna, by default, put in those types of issues into AppFolio or Rent Manager or Rentvine, and we now have very good integration with Property Meld. So like if maintenance coordination is a big thing for you, and you want the really kind of the best things in terms of like vendors and tenants texting each other and all those things, that's what they're going to really excel at, and we support that type of integration. But when you're like really trying to schedule your turn work, there's many aspects of turn work that really I think our system can work very well in. So you can kind of have to assess what is the best way to do it. Okay. um yeah, and so uh, and someone asked in here, that is one thing. So yes, if you use the task, and there's something called a task status. So right now, when the work order item, the task status gets updated in your process, and it's not technically changing the task status yet. Technically, that's a manual change, but that's very, very close to getting fixed. So that's going to happen automatically here soon. That once you kind of complete a document, that will trigger what custom task status you want. So that is on the I'm not sure if it's Robert who's posted that, or if it's Rob or something like that who's actually asking that question. But that specific little subtlety you're asked for is coming here fairly soon. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get I got some other slides. I can come back to this. We're just going to kind of get through kind of our main presentation. Okay, and so now here, like you can try this out yourself. You've got dashboard, okay, and you can access and view this website here as well. When you're in dashboard, you've got this help center link right here. That's going to bring you up to kind of really that same page, okay. Um, Now on that same page, there are some of our upcoming webinars. So these are just in the next kind of few weeks. So we've got kind of our advanced reporting, kind of California compliance things. It's not just really California compliance. Anywhere, if you've got move-ins, move-outs, pre-inspections, if you need to link completed photos and to the work done, all those things. So there's a lot of things in there that I think could be useful to everybody, but it's really required in California. So we're going to have a meeting specifically on that. And then we're going to really kind of dive down into inspection, scheduling, and process building. Okay, so we're going to kind of dive in there. Um, Now, soon this link also, we're going to be populating it with some other things. We're going to have our list of kind of our known issues right there. So you kind of clearly know what we're working on. Kind of if you've got ideas for features, those are going to show up there. There's going to be a little section on kind of dashboard versus classic. There's going to be some features that will be in classic for the foreseeable future. We're going to clearly show you what's there, and then we'll start adding tips and tricks. So under that same getting started link is where that thing is going to start getting built up. This is still very new. There's some bugs and this and that and things like that. So we want your kind of feedback. Let us know. We are here to work it and make it, and get it better and better and really kind of customize it here for your business. That's our real goal. So, I mean, I basically covered all of our slides. So we've got everything here. So I really appreciate you all attending. We're going to be at the Rent Manager Conference here shortly, then the Appfolio Conference, then the NARPM Annual. I'll be at all three of those. Athena will, Carol will be at
Yeah.
some, Joelle will be at least at NARPM Annual. And I know at NARPM Annual, we've got about 18 team members coming, so that's pretty exciting. So if you want to meet some of the engineering staff who's kind of doing things behind the scene, they'll be coming in and out of the booth. It'd be fun to kind of so customers come up and talk to them because they're not often kind of really disconnected. It's really fun to just hear what customers are actually thinking and how they're using the software. So we really appreciate everyone's feedback. I've got time, so I'm going to stay on this webinar for basically until the questions stop. Okay, so I'm just going to stay here, but until that point, okay, thank you so much for coming today. Okay, so really appreciate it. All right, let's kind of keep looking at any questions as they're kind of coming. Okay, so
So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and enough acts. Like if you take a photo of, let's say, a living room, but it was really kind of on the bathroom. Okay, is there a way for you to move it? So the easiest way to do it, if you're doing it right there on the fly, okay, then in on the mobile app, and I probably actually could even pull up my mobile app here as well. So I'll try and do that here at the same time while I'm talking. In the gallery button in the upper right hand corner, that is where is the easiest to change it. Okay, so like that's kind of I would say if you know what you're looking for, then you can change it right there on the gallery button. And so even though that's happening technically locally on your mobile device, when it can, and I think I'm gonna have to restart QuickTime, Athena. So that's not gonna work for me, but you might
I
want
can
to bring
screen
that
share
up
if
if you
you want.
can.
Yes.
Yeah. So um, You can tag it there. You can also change it on the website. So on any photo, you can click it and modify the tags. Okay, so if you do that there, then that'll modify that photo and move it to the right section. Okay, so um, uh, uh,
I'm gonna go ahead and screen share from my phone just to show you
yep,
where
go ahead.
you
Yeah, go ahead.
should be able to see it. So yeah, if you go to the gallery at the top right, the two little square icons, you can basically click on the pencil icon, the second one on the right, and then you can click the area, front yard, and then just change it here. And that will sync it to the website.
Yeah, and the very top of your Zoom screen, there's like the meeting and Athena's device, and you can kind of toggle between those two. All right. Let's see. My chat thing disappeared. Where'd it go? Okay.
Another
So
question about
yeah.
Zapier integrations from Jimmy. That was a few minutes ago.
Yeah, so right now you can get all your inspection reports into Zapier, and that's going to have the PDF. It's going to have the inspection links. That will all be there. We also have a dedicated Zap just for Z data. So if you know what Z data is, and that's where you can store something like a HVAC filter size, and you can really store anything you want. And now there's a dedicated Zap just for Z data. And so, and that in that Zap, it actually says, is it a new item or is it an update? So if like, I know some people wanted to do something with Zapier, like where if someone entered in an HVAC filter size that would trigger a particular process, let's say in Lead Simple. But if it was updated, it would trigger a different process, right? So that would be an example of where you could do that. And you know, Z data can basically be anything you want. It's almost kind of you can really store in anything, put in almost any parameter, and then that can trigger basically almost anything else. Okay, so and that happens when any someone's changing. It's a dedicated Zap just for Zapier. So we right now the main Zaps we have are the inspections reports themselves, as well as the specific one for Z data. Um, uh, Rover asked again, and I know I'm saying that right, but that's just what your screen name is. So some of the things in the classic version that will not be coming, right away is basically our template editor, as well as the actual slideshow editor. Those are probably the two big ones that are going to remain on the website, on the classic website for a while. Um, Now, that said, wherever you need those, we try to add those in your process. So on the new dashboard site, that when you need those, we're going to be adding those so it's easy to find them. There are some other kind of advanced features on bulk tasks and things like that, and we are working on features on that. There is a little time later, but if you're right now doing like bulk tenant invites, for instance, that is still under the classic page. But those are that one will probably come over at some point, in maybe a little different fashion how it's going to implement it. But that problem will get solved in the new website here before long. But those are the kind of three big ones that I can think of. Uh, Carol, yeah, brought up here, join our Facebook user group. Please do. We've got almost 500 members now. It's getting more and more active. So please join that Facebook user group. And we really want people interacting there and things like that. We responded there really quick. And so some of the discussions are getting good on that. Okay, Kim asks, will the recording links be sent out? They will, but for the next two webinars, to make sure you get them, you should register for them, even if you're not able to attend. So if you want those other webinars, just go ahead and register for them. If you're busy, that's fine, and whatever, and then at least you'll get the webinar link and we'll know to send it to you. Okay. Yeah, and so someone asked for one report on a multi-unit building. And so, yeah, so the main kind of process is like for move-ins and move-outs, for example, then we want each. That way we can clearly link them to a tenant. And so that here is for your move-ins and move-outs. So there is a quote unquote unit for every unit in your multifamily building. Now, for a large building, what you typically do is you're going to create a common quote unquote unit. Now, common units aren't even charged for, but you can create them. And usually, if you're inspecting like the building exterior or something like that, that's where you would do it. Now, there are and now for certain integrations, I think most of them actually. So I believe, actually, I think it's all of them. Uh, uh, Rentvine, Rentec Direct, Rent Manager, Appfolio, Propertyware. I'm pretty sure it's all of them. When we're integrated with those, we're going to automatically create a common unit for you automatically for your multifamily. You can turn that off if you don't want it. Like if you have a lot of duplexes, you don't want that happening, you turn that off. And then usually you're going to inspect that common area on that common quote unquote unit. Now, there are some comparison tools. So depending on what your question, you might want to use things like ZData, or there's some other compare report options. Depending on what you're trying to do, there might be some other things if you need to compare all the data across the units. So like the ZData comparison sheet may be the right thing for you. If you're trying to do something like track refrigerator install dates across all 100 units of apartment building, ZData is how you would do that. And that's where you'd store it, and you can search for it in bulk. Right. I don't think I missed any other questions. Yeah, so if you're trying to keep track of heaters in the winter, that's exactly where I would put it. I would put it in Z data, maybe add a systems area, and you could put in a date, or as put that value in Z data and just store it there. And that's going to be searchable and accessible everywhere, and just store it right in there in Z data. And that's really convenient because it's accessible in multiple spots, and it all sync kind of all back and forth. So yeah, anything like that you're trying to track, like people are, putting like smoke detector install dates, if is it a 9 volt or lithium battery or anything like that, you can store anything you want in there. So that is a great place to store it in Z data.
You could also make ZData fields required if you wanted to at the template level. Our support team can help you with that if you have like a list of questions you want to ask, because you can also preset the instruction in ZData for what the question is and also make those required. And if you have a list, you can send it to us and we can help you add that to your templates.
Yeah, that's a great point, Athena. Thank you.
And yes, this is being recorded, and we will make sure we send a copy of the recording to everybody attending this.
Hey. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Please reach out to us. You can always email us. We're really been pushing chat a lot more, so that you can access people more real time throughout the business day. So you can, on our main kind of zInspector.com website, there's a chat there. You can do that. Also, schedule a one-on-one demo. As many of those as you need, we'll always do those with you. As well as these kind of dedicated webinars coming up. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to your feedback. We know there's going to be some bugs out there, but just let us know. We're going to work with you to make it better. And we're excited for how this feature kind of gets used, and really kind of giving you this kind of total update on how everything works. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time.